That's right. It's time. After over 700 hours of Town of Salem played and just passing 30 hours of Throne of Lies, give me a break, guys. Throne of Lies is new. I have finally decided that I'm aptly prepared to give you my true impressions on the both of them, how they compare, and just a general comparison between Town of Salem and Throne of Lies. So before I start this, it is important for you guys to know that I've spoken with both groups on a professional basis, and I have helped both, and I plan to keep helping both groups out where I can. The reason being, I love this game genre, and I want to see it succeed, and I want to see it grow. I want it to be as popular as Minecraft is. It's not going to happen, I don't think. But you know what? We can all have our dreams. I love social deduction games, though, and Throne of Lies and Town of Salem both have a very, very strong appeal to me. Now, there's some major differences between the two of them, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I don't have this scripted out. This is just my gut feelings. This is just how I really feel. There's no other biases here as far as I'm concerned, except for the fact that I play them both and I love the genre. But going kind of from the start, I want to talk about the devs of both these, because I think this is where actually the biggest difference lies within, is the devs of both these different games. And without saying too much, I will say this. I don't have anything against either devs. I don't have anything against the devs of Town of Salem, although I do know there's some controversy surrounding them at times. And I certainly don't have anything against the devs of Throne of Lies. However, the gut feeling that I have gotten from talking to and working with the different groups and seeing how it is that they treat different groups of people, my impression is that the guys at Throne of Lies really actually care way much about their game. Not saying that those who make Town of Salem don't care, but for what it's worth, I think that the developers of Throne of Lies really have a much more complete understanding of not only their game, but also how to interact and how to have a really good customer service. The Town of Salem guys, I'm not sure. I think they're great developers. I think that they may be missing some of the skill sets that separate out good people who make great products from people who make great business owners. And so that's really all I'm going to say about the devs in that way. Granted, I like the devs both, and I don't really have any problems with, business being business on either side. But I do think that there's something special about the Throne of Lies dev, and I hope they continue to improve the game and maybe even make another game someday, because they do seem to have quite a bit of talent, both behind the keyboard as well as an actual entrepreneur. So I like it. But that's only for what it's worth. That's not really, that's part of the game, isn't it? But it's not really the main purpose of the game. I'll get into the meat and potatoes now of this video, which is going to be the difference in gameplay between Throne of Lies and Town of Salem. There's one major difference, I think, that really should have an effect on how it is that you look at both of them, and if you are deciding if you want to play one or both or whatever. And that is that Throne of Lies is, in my opinion, significantly more complex and significantly more rewarding due to that complexity. Town of Salem for me is very casual, and maybe it's not as casual for other players, but it certainly is fairly casual for me. I enjoy just kind of relaxing and throwing out some lies and trying to trick people. Sometimes I get frustrated, specifically when I'm trying to record a video and the Town of Salem gods spit on my face and just, "Shut up, Skim, you don't need videos. Why do you want to pay your rent?" And they just get mad at me, but it's okay, Ultimately, it's a fairly casual gameplay style for me, but Throne of Lies gets my brain going, because there's just a lot more complexity to the game based upon how it is designed. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing necessarily that says one is better than the other. It truly is how you feel. I'm going to keep playing both, and I love them both. There's going to be no end to both of them as far as I can see in the future. But if you're looking for more of a casual kind of game, Town of Salem's got it for you. It really does. It's much more simple to learn, even though it does have its challenges, of course. But it's more simple to learn. It's more simple to follow, and it's a little bit more simple to be good at it. Where Throne of Lies, man, it is hard to be good at that game. You gotta know classes like you wouldn't believe, and you gotta know tactics, and you need to know counterclaims. It's just so much more complexity to Throne of Lies, which is good for you. If you're looking for that in a game, if you're looking for more of a casual style, you might want to think about Town of Salem as your main social deduction game, right? But that's the main difference between gameplay that I would like to just start off with. And I want to dive down a little bit deeper into it. And the first thing I'm going to say about that is the complexity to Throne of Lies has to do with two major things, in my opinion. One is that most of classes have both day and night actions. And there's more classes than Town of Salem 2. So you're really over doubling the amount of different things that can happen in a day, of just things that happen. And there's a lot of things that are happening all the time in Throne of Lies, where in Town of Salem there's a lot of portions of the day which is primarily talking, which is great, you know? And you have a little more time to really think about what's going on and what your next play is. Whereas in Throne of Lies, there's people being troll boxing. Was that a troll box? Is that a psychic pushing the king to vote on somebody? What's going on here? Is the king good? Is he evil? You don't guess if the mayor is good or evil. You don't guess if the jailer is good or evil. And that brings us to the second part of what I think the complexity of Throne of Lies is, and that is the conversions. Everybody can be converted. And you're like, oh, well, vampire can be converted in Town of Salem. You bet they can. Vampire is not very common anymore. It's hardly at all, except for in all NEs or in games that are custom games. So otherwise, you don't really see vampires anymore. But the cool part about Throne of Lies that, again, adds this complexity is that a blue dragon member can be converted into its corresponding cult or unseen class. And that's just freaking awesome, because that means that their will could be completely and totally legit all the way up to the previous night when they got converted. And boy, does it blow your mind. I sometimes it's frustrating because I'll be having like, oh, I'm having such a great Blue Dragon game. I'm so towny right now. Like I'm just absolutely gonna carry this game for us. And I think the king's a good king too. And next thing you know, you get converted and you're like, dang it! And you scream a little bit to the heavens. But that's part of the fun too. But seriously, that's the main portion of what I think. Those two factors are what make Throne of Lies so much more complex than Town of Salem. But again, it's up to you as to what it is that you want from a game. Do you want a more casual game? Town of Salem's it. If you want a more in-depth game that really actually truly challenges your brain, then you're going to have to go ahead and consider Throne of Lies. Now, there's no reason to say you can't play both, and again, that's what I plan on doing. But I'm just giving you a comparison of the two of them as they stand now. Don't forget, things can, of course, change over time. So those are the two big things I wanted to talk to you about. Devs, which is more of a smaller kind of issue, but it does play into the game. It really does. But the more important one is the difference in gameplay. Town of Salem, honestly, a lot more simple. And Throne of Lies, way more complex, right? But then I'm going to talk about a couple of things too. I'm going to talk about player base, right? Town of Salem has a very large player base, and that's a good thing for the longevity of the game, right? And it really is. Town of Salem has proven they've been able to kind of stay around and stick around for a long time. They've had a lot of different bigger YouTubers. Not me. Psh, I'm a fly in the ointment. They've had a lot of bigger YouTubers play the game. And although Throne of Lies is getting a lot of big streamers right now that are kind of occasionally playing the game and feeding into the group, which I love to see, it doesn't quite have longevity or the stick that Town of Salem has proven to have, but it's too early to tell. There's no wait times really legitimately anymore for Throne of Lies. There used to be really bad wait times. Now it's just about done, guys. It just about doesn't happen anymore, right? But Town of Salem, there's almost no wait time unless you're looking for Mafia Returns. Never. You're not going to get one of those unless you're in a lobby with me. And you're not going to get into many custom Coven games either. And, that's one of the issues with splitting your game in half like Town of Salem devs did. But I understand why they did it, and I don't blame them for doing it. There's one thing I want to point out right here as another difference that maybe I should have spoke about earlier. Throne of Lies is a paid game. You got to pay $10. You got to shell it out right up front, And I believe they'll also be having, I'm not sure about this, but I believe there'll also be microtransactions as well where you can buy gold in order to get aesthetics just like Town of Salem does. So it's not like you get all aesthetics and stuff free forever for that $10, which is fine. I understand business. In fact, I understand business very well. I was a business major. But up front, there is a cost for Throne of Lies, and there's not for Town of Salem. So there's another thing that kind of weighs into it is that Throne of Lies is a paid game. Now that brings me different expectations to it than Town of Salem. And when you don't have a paid game, then there's certain things that I find a little bit more, there's certain business ideas that are a little bit more acceptable to me than when you have a paid game up front. But Throne of Lies has said they're never going to charge for any DLC or updates. I'll be happy to see if they stick to that. Only time will really tell. But those are the major differences that I've seen so far. Throne of Lies does have a smaller player base, it's, at least so far. We'll see. Whereas Town of Salem has a rather large player base and has proven to been able to keep it up for a pretty extensive time. Throne of Lies is paid, and Town of Salem is free, except for Coven, of course. But Coven's not a necessity to the game. There's a lot of differences that are more minute than the ones that we spoke about right now. But I have a feeling that people have been kind of. I get questions when I play. What do you like more? And I'll end this with that. I'll end this video with which one do I like more? And if I'm gonna be completely and totally honest, the one that I personally enjoy playing more, personally, is Throne of Lies. I like the complexity of it most times. Sometimes I really like Town of Salem, where I can just kind of veg out and not have to worry so much about it. Fake claims are a lot easier in that, for me at least. But if there was a game that I was to say I find more enjoyable, it would be Throne of Lies right there. That being said, I love Town of Salem, and that's not going to change. So, and I'm going to keep playing them both, in case anybody was wondering about that. If you're looking for a game, guys, that's more complex than Town of Salem, has a lot more complexity and differences and changes and wild swings than Town of Salem, Throne of Lies, totally worth $10. Seriously, in fact, I paid more than that because I was a backer for Kickstarter. But I'd pay again the same amount if they said I had to in order to keep playing it. And as for Town of Salem, it's a great game too, guys. So if you haven't, in fact, if you are a Throne of Lies player, like I have nothing against you trying out Town of Salem, and vice versa. No one should. The truth is, at any time that we get this genre of social deduction growing, I, Skim, am a very happy panda. Alright, so there you go, guys. You have the truth. You have my different impression on the two games. I suggest both. If I had to pick one, I'd probably, as far as the one that I enjoyed more, it would be Throne of Lies. But I don't pick one. I gotta play them both, which makes me quite happy indeed. Alright, guys. Much love, as always. I'll see you guys for the next video. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new here, subscribe, especially if you like Throne of Lies or Town of Salem. Why aren't you subscribed already? Seriously. Well, now's your chance. You can fix that. See you guys next time. Peace out.